All right, welcome back to the Woman Talk to Experience Radio Show live here on Facebook Live at the Woman Talk to Facebook page, Philly Hot Radio, and Instagram Live, Levante21. My guest is here. She is an author, a life coach, now entrepreneur. She is a survivor. She's a woman of God. Let's get up Miss Holly Jennings. How are you this morning? Miss Afternoon, I'm sorry, this morning.
It was morning.
Yeah, I know, right?
But I'm wonderful. I'm excited to be here. You know how I am. I get pumped up, so
Yes,
I'm
yes.
excited.
And you participated in Arts Cafe a couple weeks ago in March in 28. And you set the tone for the rest of the show, how the event will go. And yeah, a lot of energy and a lot of passion. You know, that's really a great thing. And that's something a lot of people have that jovial spirit beside them. You know, so that's very, very important. So I want to ask you about, before we get into you. As you know, this week was the George Floyd verdict and also the other tragedy of young people. I want to ask you, what were your thoughts about it? You know, the verdict, how it went down, what was in your mind, and also about the young lady and all this violence going on in Philadelphia right now.
Wow. I wasn't expecting you to ask me that question. However, just like everybody else looking at the George Floyd case, just watching the video was traumatizing. And so what's happening is the world is being traumatized, and then we try to come out of that, and then we watch it again on the news, and if everyone watched the whole court hearing like I was, we're being traumatized and triggered, over and over again. That's what the world has been going through. And I think that the verdict was, I'm like you, I think he deserved more.
Yeah.
I just really do, because this person's life is gone.
Right, you can't get him back.
They wanted to highlight the fact that he was on drugs. There are a lot of people on drugs. And he could have had a fighting chance, but that was taken away from him. And so I'm bothered by that. I'm bothered by it also because I'm a former police officer.
That's what you just said.
I was a police officer for 15 years, and I really loved my job. But I retired because I felt the Lord leading me to do something else.
Right.
And I wanted to be able to do that freely, because as an officer, there are certain things that you can do freely and certain things that you can't do freely. And I want to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ freely. And so leaving the job was the best thing that I could have done for myself. As far as the 16-year-old that was killed, I am a mother of 3 daughters. I know that my daughters can be very temperamental at times. I have trained them and taught them how to respond to police, and I believe that they do it very well. But my heart broke when I saw that. I've been in situations where I had to wrestle a guy like George Floyd. I've been in situations where I worked as a police officer around Northeast High School in the Northeast. And children today, young people today are, but to shoot, I've been in a situation where I could have shot someone. I can't call it, I wasn't there, I don't know, but my heart as a parent goes out to the parent of that young lady whose life is over now. She was already in foster care.
Right.
She didn't even have a fighting chance. Now her life is over at 16. So that's a big deal. So I have mixed emotions about it.
Right.
I really do.
Yeah, I feel like in the day, all that could be handled better. You know, with better training, better way to handle that. You know, I think, because in the day, a young person's life is gone, and ain't no mother should have bagged that child.
Yeah.
Even before they fully blossom, before they develop to what they are really fully capable of, you know, they're gone, you know. So we just gotta see how everything plays out, you know, because I did tell me you're a police officer 15 years, and I commend you for that. That's not an easy job to have, especially now. You know, even before that was hard, but now it's like, you know. But I'll get into that later about, you know, how you became an officer. But let's talk about who's Holly Jennings. Who is she?
She is today.
Today.
Before Christ, that's a whole different thing. But
Okay.
today, she's a woman of strong faith. She's a woman that has gone through some serious trials in her life that could have and probably should have caused her to lose her mind. But by the grace of God, I am still here to give my testimony of all of the stuff that I have been through. I love it when the Lord presents an opportunity for me to be able to share my testimony,
Right.
Because our testimonies help other people.
True.
And so I love being able to do that. So I'm an author, I'm a retired police officer, I am a speaker for the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, which tells you that I've been through domestic violence in my life. And I love to write, I love to speak. I love it when the Lord opens up a platform so that I can encourage and help someone else get through. I'm also a life coach now. Love doing that. And I have clients who just want to know, how did you get from here to there? And all they need is someone to believe in them.
Yeah, that's it.
Believe in them and give them a push. And that's what I love to do.
Right. Wonderful. We'll get all of that. So what was your upbringing growing up? What was how Jean's like growing up, and what made her decide? Well, I don't know when you became a police officer in what stage, but what made you decide to say, look, I want to do this? So what was your upbringing like first?
Yeah, I like to talk about that because there are a lot of young people today who, like me, grew up in the hood. I grew up in North Philadelphia, raised in North Philadelphia by my mom, single mom, 4 brothers, 1 sister, 5 brothers, I'm sorry, 5 brothers, 1 sister, in a 2-bedroom home. Yes, and mom did a great job. I mean, we had Christmases where we had stuff falling from underneath the tree. I don't know how she did it.
Right.
Because as I became a mother, I'm like, I'm struggling to do this. Let me get you 2 gifts. But mom did that, and so I grew up. But what a lot of people don't know is that my father, who was not really present in my life, did show back up again. And then left again. And the last time that he left, before that, I had gotten such a great connection with him and a bond that I've never known before because I've never had my father. But my father, when he left again, my father was killed. And he was killed by a white police officer. And that kind of broke my heart because I know that he committed a crime. See, we don't like to tell the truth. Some of us are committing crimes out here. You know, and we just want to be able to say, and break out the high school picture. He was such a good boy. My dad committed a crime. Could the officer have shot him somewhere else, in his legs, in his feet? I don't know. He shot him straight in his chest and he died. And that's the last memory I have of my father. And so that is what pushed me to become a police officer. I wanted to be better. I wanted to get on the job and I wanted to be better. I wanted to show my African American brothers and sisters and young people that there is some good, you know, because being a police officer, it has been tainted.
Yeah, right.
There has been, I remember my brothers growing up in the hood, you know, some officers really gave them a hard way to go. And I know that it is because they were black in the hood. And we don't want to tell the truth about this thing, but racism is real.
It is. Always been real. Always.
It is so real, and we have to grow up in that environment, and we have to adjust to it.
Right.
Who wants to adjust to racism? But many in the hood had to do that. My brothers had to humble down and adjust to racism. It's an ugly thing. I have a lot of people say, oh, I got a lot of black friends. Well, I can say that too. I got a lot of white friends. I have a lot of white officers that I was friends with on the job, still am friends with, good people, but there is good and bad in everything that we do. So every job that we have, you got some racist doctors and nurses.
True.
And they got to care for us. They got to put us under and do surgery. With their racist selves. So this is something that I think that us as black people, we need to have some serious, open, and honest conversations.
Right.
We need to educate our people on how to really fight this thing. We're not fighting it when we're out there shooting and killing. We're being looked upon like savages.
Right.
We have to change that. Can't nobody else change our situation except for us.
Yes.
And so I believe that is critical. I believe, and I talk about it. I'm not ashamed to talk about it because my people fail for what? Lack of knowledge.
Knowledge.
We have a responsibility. There is some accountability. And until we address those issues honestly and openly, then we're going to be right here where we are.
Yes, indeed. It's about those kind of conversations about each other, because the violence is going on. Like, we killing each other. It's like it's getting worse and worse.
Every day.
Every day it's like we supposed to be together, but we kill our brother and sister for what? Things that we could even talk about, having a discussion about. Okay, hey, it's really not that serious. You know what I mean? People lose their lives, and if you kill someone, it affects so many other people.
Yes.
It affects the mom, the dad, the friends, the husband. It affects them profoundly in a negative way. So we have to get better at that. So you're the police officer. So, like, you did 15 years. What was a normal day like for you? Like, what was it, long days, or certain days you had to do more than normal because of what was going on, like an event or something, or a crisis situation? Like, what was a normal day like for you as a police officer?
Being a police officer is called the greatest show on earth.
Wow.
It's called the greatest show on earth. And when I was told that when I started the job, I was wondering, okay, well, what is this all about? But I learned very quickly. I learned very quickly because you can go to one job where you're delivering a baby. How beautiful is that?
Right.
And to the next job, the very next call to a young person laying on the ground, choking on blood for their life, where you have to literally pick them up because you can't wait for paramedics to get there. I'm not saying that they don't get there quick enough, but sometimes it happens.
Right.
So you literally have to pick them up, put them in the back of the wagon, and try to help them get to the hospital as quick as possible to save their lives. You can go from that job to something else. So it's like up and down,
right,
all day long, emotions up and down. I was diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome. My doctor says, it's no wonder. You're up and down like this all day long, this job, your emotions. And that's why you have a lot of officers who are alcoholics. Because you get to see so much.
Right.
And you don't want to go home because you don't want to sleep on that.
Oh, right.
And so they go to, the after hour bars or whatever, and they sit and they drink and they talk. Some of them are committing suicide, blowing their brains out because it is too much to deal with, right? And then have to go home and deal with whatever you got going on there. And so it's a lot entailed with it. And like I said, the calls, they come all day long. All day long.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I know you said you did 15 years and God led you to leave that position. Well, I know you did. What ways you actually do it? You know what I mean? Sometimes you be put out like, oh no, like what made you say I gotta leave? What made you say do it? Like to leave that, like just what you see every single day is totally different to now. Like, did that have like an impact on you? Like when you left, you had to take like some therapy or something, or get some self-care. Like it was a lot for you every single day. You're like now you leave that, now you got so like what was that like?
Yeah, a lot of police officers can, just like Army, Navy, Marines, can end up with PTSD.
Yeah.
And that is very serious because of all of the things that you have to see. I have to see some things that I wouldn't even come home and tell my daughters about. I don't want them to know about it. I came home with black eyes because you have to fight. They already size you up when you get out the car. And I learned a lesson that I learned how to fight. I had to because it was my life. And so I remember I had just gotten myself saved.
Oh, wow, okay.
Just gotten myself saved. I didn't grow up in a church like a lot of people.
Oh, okay.
No, I lived my life. I had fun doing it. But then the Lord, He touched my heart. And I gave my life to Him. And it was maybe a year later.
Okay.
I was riding in my patrol car. And it's like, that's when I began to hear from the Lord. And I didn't know if I was really hearing from God. I'm like, what is this? And he was telling me that my time on the police department
It's rounding up. What's up?
is up. And I struggled with this, and I was going back and forth to church. I was going to Impacting Your World Christian Center with Pastor Ray Bernard and Tracy Bernard, and he began to preach on faith. And he would just say, and it seemed like he was looking right at me, he said, some of you are in the biggest faith fight of your life. God is telling you to do something, but you're not doing it. And he began to say that delayed obedience is nothing more than disobedience. And when he said it, it just hit me.
He said delayed obedience is disobedience.
When you take your time to do something, you think God, even if you think that God is saying something to you, I suggest you just do it. Delayed obedience is disobedience. I remember going home and I was crying as I'm driving home from Bible study because I knew that word was for me. I remember going into my captain's office and I talked to my lieutenant actually. And I had did this before when he first spoke to me. And I told him, I think I need to leave. And they were like, well, just stay for a little while longer because maybe you just, they didn't understand that God was speaking to me.
Right, yeah.
And so the last time I remember talking to my lieutenant and she looked at me and she said, I don't think I can change your mind. I said, no, ma'am. And I remember leaving the police department and I was so excited. And I remember the first day that I was home and I had no more job. And I'm like, oh, okay, God, what am I going to do? And he said, and he simply reminded me of a gift that he had given me and that I got off track. He will allow us to do things, but I got off track. I was supposed to be here writing books.
That accountability.
Yeah. And I didn't do that. I veered away and I became a cop. He allowed me to do that.
Right,
God, with his grace, he allowed me to go ahead and do that. But he says, just write.
Just right.
And I started writing and he began to speak. And as he began to speak, he gave me the title of this book. It's called The Many Faces of Faith. My testimony of faith in God. This is my whole journey when he began to speak to me on the police department. He told me everything that he had for me, right? This book was written in 2008.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And I'm doing everything that he told me that I was going to be doing today.
8, wow. Wow, 13 years ago. What do you mean? Woo, man, 2008. I was in a different place back then. Like, wow. I commend you. 2000. So you left the office in 2008.
I left in 2010.
Okay.
Yeah, when he began to speak to me, I started writing. And then this book came out in like 2010.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So now he did that. He left the police force. Went back to what God told you to do. Became an officer.
Yeah.
Then you became, I think, a speaker for domestic violence. How that came about? Against domestic violence. I'm sorry, when it came about.
Yeah, I had just left the police department, and it had been 2 years, and I moved on City Line Avenue. I was going to have this life, this author. I started traveling, doing my book tours, and the minute I moved, my mom took ill. She was diagnosed with kidney disease before that, but her condition just got worse and worse. And then I also met a man, and I thought I fell in love. Sometimes we think we fall in love, and we don't. You meet someone, and you don't get to know them. That was my mistake. You got to get to know the person.
Right, you do.
I take full responsibility for the fact that I met this man, and I married him, and I didn't get to know him like for real. And that almost cost me my life.
Glory.
It almost cost me my life. And that's why when I was asked to be a speaker, that was after I had left the marriage. I wound up leaving the marriage. My mom passed. I went and stayed at Women Against Abuse because the Lord directed me to do that. I could have stayed at other people's homes. As a matter of fact, I stayed with a pastor friend of mine, and the Lord spoke to me clearly. Women Against Abuse. So I left there and I went to Women Against Abuse, and it was right there in the shelter for abused women that I met women from all walks of life. Because I was blaming myself so badly, but I got to see so many women who had gone through the same thing. One of them was a doctor. I met white women, black women, Hispanic women, Asian women, all from all walks of life. And they began to ask me right there in the shelter, as I'm encouraging other women in the shelter, they said, we want you to go out and speak. And I thought, I don't want to do this. I'm like, God, I don't want this to be a part of my journey. But it was. It was a part of my journey. And so they began to send me out and speak to women and encourage women. And I was broken, and I still went because the Lord said go.
Right.
And then I heard someone wanted to speak with me. And they asked me to be a speaker for the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, and that's what I do. Also, I'm an ambassador for Women in Transition that also assists women who are in abusive relationships.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just God, because He can turn negative situation and turn it to your good.
Yes,
He
He did.
use it to testimony to inspire other women to help them transition and leave, and
Yes.
get in the mindset to do it. You know what I mean? Because being in a situation is not easy to leave. It's like you want to figure way to He figures it out. No, you got it. Is there, and God's telling you to leave. You will leave, and God will show you what to do going forward. So, and that's just God being God. He puts you into situations that He'll bring you out. You know what I mean? It's that on His own, and then say, well, I was trying to do it. So that's not part of the testimony that the offer thing. Now you're a life coach now. So I saw the thing, you got a degree, the certification of becoming a certified life coach. So how that came about?
During the pandemic, I talked to a lot of people who are going through. This pandemic has really caused people to be in a place where they're frustrated, they're lonely, they're discouraged, and then I just felt the Lord again. So we got to know when the Lord is speaking to us, right?
That's right.
Because He's leading us somewhere. He don't waste nothing. Even when we veer off track, like I did with domestic violence, guess what? He used that too. He's not going to waste anything that we do. All things work together, what? For the good of those who love the Lord and who are called according to His purpose and His plan. And so I heard Him, and I said, okay. So I looked online, and when it got to the one that He wanted me to do, I said, okay, and I did it. And now I am a life coach, and right now I only have 4 clients, but that's okay with me because, and I don't even like to call them clients; I call them coachees. You know, and it's just wonderful to watch someone that I may have met a few months ago that were down and broken and lonely and struggling to get into a place now where they're more vibrant and they see life. You know, they see life again. They see the light at the end of the tunnel. I think it's going to be such a rewarding thing to do.
Wow, you get to see that manifestation, that change. You see them from 4 months ago to now. It's incredible. You're like, that's like me, for example, working with my kids at Essence Center. Like, during the pandemic, they don't want to be in school. They don't want to do no work. They don't want to do our day. Yeah. And then you see the started changing and manifesting. It's like, and you like, that's owing to God. You know what I mean? And then you have parents saying, thank you for doing this. Stay by my kid. And stay could easily kick them out. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times they go to places where they get kicked out. They're out with any help or resources. So we stick by them, you know, because we can see potential in them. We just got out themselves. Deny themselves. So I think that sometimes like that's the greatest joy, just seeing people growing and manifesting to come themselves and learn how to overcome themselves. And now also you do self-care now. So recently, I know you had your first workshop last week. It went very, very well. So what was the feeling behind doing that?
That's for me. It was for me. It started off like self-care. I'm very big on it with myself at home.
Right.
And my daughter came over one day and she saw me, and I had just taken the mud pack off my face and had my feet in some bubbles and just enjoying my day. And I told her, I said, this is my day. This is my self-care Saturday. This is the day that I shut everything off, everybody off. I'm sorry. And I take care of me. I do something special for me, something nice for me. And I love it. And she says, Mom, you should do this a lot and tell other people about it because it's so good. And it encouraged her to set aside a day to take care of herself.
Yeah.
A lot of people are dealing with a lot of anxieties. The news brings anxieties. The shootings bring anxieties. So much. A lot of people are struggling in their finances in this season. So much anxiety that we have to set aside a time to take care of us, to nurture us. I sit before the Lord. I talk to Him. I ask Him questions. I remember my mother used to say, you don't question God. But I do. I question God because God, He's the only one that I can trust that's going to really give me the right answers. And He does. He gives me the answers. Sometimes it takes longer than others. Sometimes He lets you sit there in it for a minute and think on it, right? Meditate on it, because He wants us to meditate on His word, right?
Yes.
And then the answer will follow. The answer will always follow. And so self-care Saturdays are very big for me. I have my next one on May 1st at 3 o'clock. I'm looking forward to that. We're going to be talking about how do you keep your peace. Talking about peace. You know, the Bible tells us that we're to seek peace and pursue it. That means we got to run after that thing.
Right, you do.
We got to chase it. We got to keep it. We got to hold on to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So now, what advice would you give to the younger Holly James now?
To the younger me, oh my God. I feel like my younger, now when you said earlier, did I take therapy? I still do therapy. As a matter of fact, my therapist has a therapist. Right?
No one that.
And she had me to write one day when I first started, to write a letter to my younger self. That was so difficult because I feel that I have let her down. I let her down because I had such low self-esteem. I feel like I should be even further in God than I am now. But when I came to know the Lord, I came to know the Lord with childlike faith. And that's the way that He requires us to, because we don't know nothing. He knows it all. And so I just took God at His word. I just believed whatever He said to me. What I've done is I've allowed people, others, when I began to get in ministry, to talk me out of my gifts, to talk me out of being who God called me to be. If I could say anything to my younger self, I would just say, I'm sorry that I've allowed that. People to intimidate me, people to make me shrink back. You know, we are not to allow anyone to do that. I heard you talking earlier about saying that you have a speech problem. I would say to that, change what you just said. You don't have a speech problem. And God is going to bring whatever needs to be done, He's going to bring that for you. I think you're doing an amazing job. You have amazing guests on your platforms. And God is going to do a great work in you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yes.
That means a lot. Sometimes you can be assured. It's
Yes.
always good to be reassured and be speaking to and just be empowered, you know. So where people can find you for more information about you, the offer, the life coach, self-care Saturdays, entrepreneur. So where people can find you at for more information about you?
Okay. I have two websites. The one is ministerhollygennings.com. And the second one is Evolved, with a D-E-D on the end, Evolved, wellnesslifecoach.com. And of course, via Facebook, Holly Jennings.
So, a minister. So you're a minister too? A minister?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. Wow. Do a lot.
I said, when I leave here, I'm going to die empty.
Empty.
I'm like, what else, God? What else you want me to do? I want to do everything. My ears are always open. Where do you want me to go next? Because I want to. We get this life, and some people are just sitting on their gifts. Let God use you.
Yes.
There are people waiting for you.
Right.
You need to, like my girl Shirley Powerhouse said, you got to show up. True. If you don't show up, then what? What's going to happen to them? I had someone tell me that if you don't do this call of a minister, people that God has assigned to you will die.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
If you don't answer that call to minister the gospel of Jesus Christ, those that the Lord has assigned to your life will die.
Wow.
Will they die a physical death? I don't believe that's what she meant. I believe that they're going to die a spiritual death, because everybody ain't going to listen to everybody.
True.
I tell people that if you ain't been through nothing, you can't tell me nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are people that probably think like me. You better have some kind of testimony in your belly.
Yes.
Before you come and preach to me, because I done been through too much. And so I'm looking for somebody that's going to preach to me the word of God, that's going to encourage me, that's going to inspire me, that's not going to be jealous or envious of my gifts, but to help push me to where I'm supposed to be. That's what we're supposed to do.
That's right. That's right. Amen. Amen. With that, so I know you have an event that Saturday. How people can get involved? How people get registered for that event?
On my page, on social media, even on Instagram. My Instagram is My Life's Just Fine. So you can find me there too. And I always post when I'm going to have another self-care Saturday. I encourage men and women to come, because we don't know. The Bible tells us to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. But we don't do the as. We don't do the as. We could do everything for everybody. Play God, be God for everybody, right? Because that's what we're doing. We think we can do it all. I was that person, so I understand that. When God had spoke to me while I was walking on Lincoln Drive, because I was helping somebody out, every time they called for Holly, she showed up. And God had to stop me. He said, I cannot get her to her place of having a testimony because you keep getting in the way of her test. If you continue to get in the way of her test, whatever trial she's going through, they will be yours. God spoke this to me so clear. It scared me so badly. And I said, okay, Lord, so I surrender. I let that thing go. And guess what? She went through her test and had a powerful testimony because I wasn't in the way of playing God. So we can do that all the day long, but guess what? We getting in folks' way, but more importantly, we are getting in God's way. What an old woman said to me one day, I don't like to call her old woman, but older woman, mature woman said to me, mind your own business. And I have learned to do that. Mind my own business and let God be God in somebody else's life.
Wow. Mind your own business. Yes, wow, you gave us some gems, and your story is incredible. Just how God's used you and how has elevated you from the times when you could have been broken, and God still used you, and God brought you and edified you and magnified you now to do what you were called to do, the various avenues you were doing. And I appreciate that so much. I thank God for you. I thank you connected because you will work call me up to young mothers and mothers my school I work with, and they want to speak at the young women's event because I want our cycle to be broken, and the kids like be broken. And just we'll talk about that later. Let's go week about Wayne and Ford, for young ladies 11, 18. And I just want our young people to be not to conform, to not be okay with what you see right now.
Yes.
This whole year, you could argue this whole past year's pandemic should have woke you up and found out, okay, this is not okay anymore. I can't accept this. I can't make this part of my reality, my normalcy anymore. You gotta be different. So, and I'm very excited about the event next Thursday for the moms. I really am, and the school coordinator is very excited as well because we're gonna help these mothers get to where they want to be, especially for the school I worked with, and because I want to be a helper. I want to help give people things that I didn't have growing up, or that I wish my mom had growing up. The opportunity to have people talk to them, to give them encouragement, to give them light, give them a pep talk. You know what I mean? Just to inspire them, because all of us have gifts, and all we have to do is, like you said, show up and just do it. God use you. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. So for those who are watching, thank you so much. My wife was watching as well. Melissa Montana was there watching. So thank you so much for just being an inspiration and living testimony, just for just inspiring me and just encouraging me and just encouraging those who are watching. How God can use someone like yourself, despite what they've been through, and just how God puts you on a platform to use it, just share the gospel, just share the truth. Well, also that's the truth, Again, for those who are watching, thank you so much. You know, she'll always be back on the show later down the line. So the summertime, see what else she got cooked up for us. But again, Holly, thank you so much for being part of the show. Thank you for those who are watching. Hope you're good rest of your Saturday. Be safe, be mindful, be grateful, and let God use you. And have a good rest of your Saturday.
Amen.
That was awesome.